Bookies! Today I'm going to go over what I recommend from my last month's TBR, so let's get started. There's a lot of books. This is probably going to be a long video. I'm so sorry. But I had a lot of favorite books from May, even though I didn't read as much as I wanted to. So, time to go through them. I'm going to start with the physical ones first. The first one that I'm going to recommend is Beauty and the Besharam from Lillie Vale. This is such a good, sweet book. Basically, our main character, she is Indian American. She's very, very competitive. She wants high marks and everything like that. She wants to be first, especially to defeat her rival, especially when it comes to defeating her rival. When her friends and their friends, who are like kind of the same group of friends, come up with like these summer activities that they can do to see who is like the top dog of the group, they're very competitive and compete with each other, but they might also start to get closer and start to fall in love. This is such a cute book, and there's so many bookish moments in it, and bookstagrammar is mentioned, so it's very, very good. Very, very well done. It also talks about expectations that your family has of you, which it did very, very well to talk about that. Next up is Deep in Providence by Neilson. This is such a sweet book, and I absolutely love it. Basically, it is in the aftermath of a friend's death. The three other friends in the group are seen. Basically, it catalogs their journey through grief, and they're all witches. They're all in like their kind of practicing coven. So one of them, who really loved, like she wanted to date her, kind of loved the late friend, comes up with the idea that maybe they should reanimate her and bring her back to life. So it's our journey through that. The book ended kind of on a cliffhanger, and I really hope that there's a second one, because I would love to follow these girls through their next adventure. Next up is a middle grade rec. It is The Science of Being Angry by Nicole Melleby. This is about a girl. She is triplets, and she's kind of in a blended family. She has two moms. She's part of a triplet. They were conceived through IVF. She has a half-brother from one of her mom's previous relationships, and she kind of has a father figure with his dad, but she has a problem where she's getting very, very angry very easily. So it's her trying to figure out, is this something that my family traits have, or is this something from the egg donor, and her figuring out genetics and stuff like that. It talks about genetics a lot and ancestry, stuff like that, so I think that this would be really good for younger kids to start exploring that with their own families through this book. I also really liked how it talked about the mental health aspect and about her anger, because it did have moments where some of the adult characters were like, she's just a bad kid. But what a lot of people don't realize when they are dealing with kids is that there's not necessarily a bad kid. Like 99.9% of the time, kids are good, or 99.9% of the population of kids are good. I hate the terms good and bad, but basically, it's the way that some kids handle outside stimuli and emotional stuff. So the way that sometimes you deal with outside pressures or unexpected surprises or stuff like that impacts how you behave towards adults or towards situations. And I really like that the book talked about that, and it talked about, you know, after a bit, like, they realized she's not a bad kid. There's something going on with her. Next up is The Lesbiana's Guide to Catholic School by Sonora Reyes. This is such a good book. Basically, this girl, she's in the closet, she's a lesbian. She got transferred to this private school because her brother is going there. He got a scholarship she kind of has to pay because her mom wants her to watch out for him, which is good for her because she got outed by her ex-best friend at her other school. Things are a mess. she can't be out because of a lot of stuff. It deals with a lot of religion, of religious trauma and stuff like that. And it also deals with mental health. So this is such a good, impactful read. Another tearjerker. You're going to want tissues for this. Another middle grade book I'm recommending is Zachary Ying and the Dragon Emperor. This is the author of Iron Widow. So this book, like Iron Widow, goes into Chinese emperors and stuff like that, the emperor history. This is done in such a fun way, and I learned so much about emperor history and stuff like that in a fun manner. I recommend this for kids. Like, everyone should be learning about world history, and this is one of the funnest ways that I think that you could learn about the expansive history of Chinese emperor. Next up is The No Family by Grace K. Shim. This was probably my favorite read, next to two books technically. So one of the best, probably like number 3 on books that I read last month. Basically, our main protagonist, she lives with her mom. Her dad died when she was little. I don't even know if she was born yet, actually. I don't know. But she's kind of disconnected from all of her family. When she does 23andMe, kind of as a joke, and can I just say I love that 23andMe is making an appearance in books now. But she does 23andMe, she finds family. She finds cousins, a grandmother. She journeys over to Korea to get to know them, but there might be a reason why they found her on 23andMe. It's really, really good. I promise you, you're going to want to read this. Next up are the number 1 and 2 books of the books I read last year. And they're part of a duology. I think there's going to be a third one, so it might be a trilogy. I'm not sure how many are in the series, but I absolutely love them. It is Uncharted and Unbroken, both by Alli Temple, who is an indie author. This is such a fun book. Okay, so in the first one, our main character, she lives in this oppressive society. I don't know how many times I've said that today. I've made a lot of videos about oppressive societies. But she lives in an oppressive society towards women. And she's going to get married off to, like, the prince or whatever he is, the ruling heir of the kingdom. She don't want to. She don't want that life. So she works with the rebels, and they have this plan. They're like, we're going to sneak you out. Well, that plan gets interrupted when she gets kidnapped by pirates who are going to use her as ransom against the guy that she's supposed to be marrying. But when she looks at one of, like, the lead pirate, the captain pirate person, it's actually her best friend from childhood that got sold basically into work on a ship. It's so good. It is a sapphic romance, kind of enemies to lovers, and pirates. Pirates, I love it. Highly recommend this series. And last of the physical books that I have that I'm recommending from the May TBR is Shinji Takahashi and the Mark of the Coatl by Julie Kagawa. This is such a good book. He's just kind of like living his ordinary life, but when something magical happens to him, and he's basically being used as a conduit for that magic, he's swept up, kidnapped into this very, very fantasy journey. There's so many twists and turns, I don't even know where to start with on talking about this book. You just gotta read it. And it's Julie Kagawa, which is an amazing author, so you're gonna love this book. Now I have 6 more books, but they're in ebook format. I told you, I had a lot of favorites in May. So first up is Nate Plus One, which is a male-male YA contemporary romance. Basically, our main protagonist, his name's Nate, his family, and he's publicly out, his family, like his cousin, I think, is getting married in South Africa. So he's going, but when his mom suddenly can't make it, he decides to invite one of his best friends that he has a crush on to go with him. It's the wedding trope romance. I absolutely loved it. It was so cute. Such a good romance. I highly recommend it. Next up is 100% Me, which I did have. Oh, a random Sophia appears. Which I did have as a picture book, but I gave to the pregnant friend for her baby. It's such a good little picture book, and I recommend it for your little ones. It goes into ancestry and who I am and stuff like that. Such a cute little picture book. Next up is Dead End Girls by Wendy Hurd. This is a fun novel. Okay, so it kind of feels like a Thelma and Louise trope-like book. Basically, one of our main characters, they have a really hard life at home. So they devise this plan on how they're going to fake their death when their family goes to vacation in Hawaii. And they're going to hop a cruise ship and sail over to England, start a new life. They have the passports, they have the money, they have everything. Except when their cousin Frankie figures out their plan, they have to last minute add Frankie to the mix. The only thing I didn't like is that there was a lot of flashback scenes that got kind of confusing, but there's so much mystery involved, and you're rooting for these people so much throughout the novel. They have so much bad luck that happens. It's definitely a Thelma and Louise feel type of book. So if you're looking for that, that's the book that you're going to want. I also read Mapmakers and the Lost Magic, which is a cute little middle grade graphic novel. Basically, I don't know why I must have a thing for this, but this society lives in this child lives in a depressive society. The river's dried up. Like, they're totally reliant on the soldiers, and it's very totalitarian government. When our main character discovers a secret entrance and figures out that there's so much more to this land, and that they're being locked out from it, they learn how to become a map maker and explore and journey. And it's really, really well done. It's such a good book. And I'm not even doing it justice, so just go check it out for me. Next up is Hall of Fires by Samira Ahmed. This one is such a good book. Again, another one that inspires social justice. So, in this one we open with our main character finding a body. And it kind of goes back and forth throughout the story. We learn about one of our main characters who was just excited to show off this jetpack that he made for one of his, it's like a building class or something like that, and the racist English teacher thinks that it's a bomb. Stupid. So she calls the cops, he gets arrested, and that starts like a very public issue for that child. And the other half is our main character, who is the journalist at her high school, and she is also dealing with a lot of racism and microaggressions at her school. There's this overarching theme of I have to figure out what happened to this young boy and what happened to him, and he kind of, I don't know why that guy's walking. By the way, if you don't want people to bother you, 99% of the people that come to my door have a no soliciting sign on it, so definitely get you one. But anyways, so it's basically about uncovering and figuring out what happened to this young boy and dealing with and uncovering a lot of the white supremacy that surrounds this town. It's such a good book. Like, it's a must read. Like, this one has to be taught. This one and or her other book, which is Internment, which I also really loved. Like, if I designed a school system and designed books that were necessary to read to graduate, one of these two would be on it, to be honest. Because both of them are talking about issues that children need to consider and think about today. And the very last one that I'm going to recommend from my May TBR is The Merciless Ones by Namina Forna. I'm not going to spoil a lot of what happens in this one. It is a sequel to The Gilded Ones, but in this book, which I will talk about, our main character, she lives in an oppressive society. I have a thing for that, apparently. I've been talking about it in a couple of videos now. But our main character, she lives in an oppressive society, and she's also black, so there's some racism in the book. But she lives in like a very religious-led area. And on their 16th birthday, they have to have their blood tested to see if they're pure. Pure girls go get married off, and the impure ones get like kind of casted off into the wilds, whatever. So when our main character, she's about to get her blood tested, when a horde of like, I don't know, fearsome ass bees comes to disrupt the ceremony. They are about to kill her father. When she tells them to stop, they leave. She immediately gets killed by the people of the town, but she keeps coming back to life. So every time they kill her, she keeps coming back to life. She's kind of immortal in that way. She's deathless, as the series is called. And it's about her and getting forced into this group of girls to go and defeat the gods the Fearsome Beast and whatever. Really good series, really good. The second one's a bit more fast-paced than I would have liked it, but still so good, and I highly recommend both of them. So yeah, that is it for all the books that I'm recommending from my May TBR. Definitely check any of them out and tell me some that you recommend from your May TBR. So thank y'all for watching. See you again. Bye.